giving out great information, but nobody can hear you. So you will see down there on the right, I think it is, a chat box where you can just type in and let me know if you can hear us. Like I said, we don't want to be talking to nobody out there. So, all right, great. I got a yes. I have another yes, a couple Y's, so that is perfect. So that means that you can definitely hear us. So let's get things started. I'm Scott Cartwright. I have a graduate degree, a master's degree in public health, and I'm the founder of MS Health University. And as you know or may not know, MS affects me personally because my wife has MS. And during this presentation, I'll be wearing a lot of different hats. I'll be the moderator, I'll be the timekeeper, I'll be the question asker, answer, all that kind of stuff. And I'll be throwing those things to Dr. Cartwright. I started to say Dad. You see, you notice that we have the same last name. And that's because he is my dad, and I've been calling him Dad for a long time now. So I'll try to say Dr. Cartwright as much as possible, but when Dad slips out, you'll know who I'm talking about.
Hi, and I'm Dr. Rudy Cartwright, the MS Health Coach. I'm a brain surgeon and an expert in multiple sclerosis. And if you're wondering why a brain surgeon knows so much about multiple sclerosis, well, let me just tell you. I have over 35 years of training and experience. And during that training and experience, I've seen my share of brain injuries and spinal cord injuries because of motorcycle accidents, car accidents, all-terrain vehicle accidents. And it turns out that what occurs over a short period of time during those kind of injuries to the brain and spinal cord, what happens over a short period of time really happens over an extended period of time during, multiple sclerosis. And so that's, why I know a lot about it. Now, I know you're on this webinar because you're tired of being tired, really. You're tired of not being able to go shopping with your friends. You're tired of not being able to get up in the morning and do things with your children and the rest of your family. I know that you've tried bee sting, diet, low fat, what have you, high fat, you name it, you've tried it, but it really hasn't worked. But the reality of the situation is that you can and will get better. You can get rid of your pain, your numbness and tingling. You can start to walk better. You can get rid of your fatigue. You can do all of these things. And during this webinar, I'm going to show you just how you can stop your visual loss and get your life back. How you can slow this process down, stop it, turn it around, and get the old you back.
All right, that sounds perfect. So that's what we're here to do. So just to let you know, the first question, if you have your handout in front of you, the first question is number one, yes, I can and will get better. So here's what we're going to talk about today in this special health training. First, we're going to talk about how to get rid of your fatigue. And I know that may sound crazy to you because you've probably tried a bunch of things in the past and nothing has worked for you, but we know how to do it, and we'll tell you the story on how we know it works here in just a second. And if you do a few things and make just a few changes, you really can get rid of your MS fatigue and, most importantly, get back to doing all the things you used to love doing. And we're going to tell you how to do just that.
And that's not all. We're going to share with you several additional things that you need to actually get rid of your most, if not all, of your MS symptoms. Is it medication? Is it new diet? Is it more sunlight? Is it more sleep? Well, it's really not any one of these things alone. And we're going to share with you the things that you can do, and we're going to share those with you today.
All right, perfect. And then at the end of the training, we're also going to show you the 3 things you must have before you can ever start getting rid of your MS symptoms. And nobody has ever really discussed this with you before, but you've got to have them. And most MS recoverers don't have them, I'll just tell you, but you've got to have them, and we're going to give them to you today. So, why are we here today? Well, we know to get rid of your fatigue, your balance and vision problems, to stop your pain and numbness, to get rid of your bowel and bladder problems, to to clear up your brain fog and depression. And believe it or not, you really can do these things, but you have to know how to do it right. And we're going to show you how to do it right today. And you know what? I'm sure you've got some questions already. For example, we get a lot of questions or comments from people asking, is this a scam? And we're really sorry that it's come to this, where people are taking advantage of others who are just looking for help. But we can assure you that we are for real, and that the information we'll present to you today is the real deal. But just to show you, here's a copy of Dr. Cartwright's medical school diploma from Baylor College of Medicine. And you'll see right in the middle it says Doctor of Medicine, and a little bit below that you'll see the date May 23rd of 1974. And here's a copy of his internship in general surgery. You'll see that was for 12 months from 74 to 75 at the Ben Taub Hospital, the Methodist Hospital, and the VA Hospital, all of that in Houston. And here's a copy of the big boy, his residency completion in neurosurgery. And you'll see it's just unbelievable to me every time I see this. For 60 months, that's 5 years from 74 to 79, in addition to medical school, in addition to internship. It's just crazy to even spend that much time in school trying to learn how to be a neurosurgeon, but I guess it's what you have to do when you want to do neurosurgery. And also, here's a copy of the blog that we maintain. You can find this at www.mshealthuniversity.com.
We also get asked, why are you so passionate about helping MS recoverers? Well, you're smart to ask that question because it's important to know the motivation behind someone while they're doing a certain thing, whatever it is they're trying to teach you. Here's why I'm so passionate. My lovely daughter-in-law was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the middle of her medical school training. And my son got on the phone and called me and said, Dad, I don't have good news. My wife has MS. And I said, don't worry. I know what to do for it. But I had to go back to the library and do some, additional research to refresh myself and so forth. So I was spending months up at night, during the day, reading in the library and so forth. And I came up with a plan that I put together especially for her. And I'm happy to say that she finished her medical school training, and now she is in the middle of her residency training. And that's where I left it. And then one day, my son walked in and said, look, Dad, you got to share this information with others. And I said, no way. I'm not interested in the limelight. I don't want to be in the limelight. Just let me be. But no, he kept hammering on me and hammering on me and hammering on me and hammering on me. And I finally gave in. And so I started to give, webinars and seminars over the internet. And then I started to get private clients, and they were helped by what I had planned for them. And now here I am talking with you.
Here you are. Well, I'm glad that I did that arm twisting, because you're helping a lot of people, and I hope that limelight isn't killing you, So just moving on, we also hear from our new students that they've tried other things in the past and that those things haven't worked. And we're really sorry to hear that some things haven't worked out for you, but we really can understand why. You see, I guess you have to understand that, first of all, there needs to be some kind of science behind whatever it is you're trying. And rest assured that everything we tell you to do today has been well researched, and we even give you the source of the research papers if you want to look them up for yourself.
And lastly, we hear, what if I don't have enough energy, or what if I don't have enough time? Well, let me tell you, the things that I outlined for you today don't take a lot of time. I won't ask you to do anything that takes a lot of your time or energy. I know better than that. I know you don't have a lot of time, and more than that, I know you don't have a lot of energy. That's why the first big step in my, step-by-step plan is to show you how to get rid of your fatigue. And once you start having more energy, you will be able to start doing all the things you used to love doing, including additional things such as continuing to get rid of other symptoms. But in order for you to be successful, whether you follow our recommendations or not, or you take on this mission on your own, you've really got to have three things. And let me just go through them. These are three important things. Number one, you got to want to get better. You have to, make some changes. You can't do the same thing that you've been doing that has constantly, taking you down here. So you got to be, willing to want to get better, and you will get better. Also, number two, you have to be open-minded. You got to get rid of certain beliefs that have, got you where you are. One of the beliefs is that MS is an autoimmune disease. We have no proof of that. And number three, you got to be willing to do some work. Getting better requires activity, and it requires important activity that's shown to be beneficial and based on science. So in order for you to get back to doing all the things you used to love doing, to living the life of your dreams, you've got to have these three things. And just remember, I helped my daughter-in-law get better and finish medical school, and I can help you get better.
All right. Well, let's help our MS recover out there. And I'll just tell you that for number 2 on your handout, it is for true success, I must be willing to do some work. So that's do some work for number 2. So I've got to do just a little bit of housekeeping to make sure we stay on the right side of the law, because we always like to be on the right side of the law. And that housekeeping is that I need to tell you that Dr. Cartwright is a medical doctor with over 35 years of training and experience, but the information we're sharing with you today is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as medical advice. Dr. Cartwright has not seen you as a patient and cannot give you medical advice. So whatever you do, please be sure to consult your doctor before you make any changes to your medical routine. And before I give it back to Dr. Cartwright, I just want to say that I'm really, really glad that you showed up today to hear this great information. And I'm sure that, you'll be glad you showed up when I share with you some information I came across just the other day. And that is that the National Multiple Sclerosis Society says that 85% of MS recoverers initially start with the relapsing remitting form of MS. And that's where you have partial or total recovery after your attacks. They go on to say that more than 50% will develop secondary progressive MS within 10 years. And the troubling statistic is that more than 90% of MS recoverers will develop secondary progressive MS within 25 years. And that secondary progressive MS is where you are just going downhill and downhill, steadily getting worse and worse and worse with no recovery or anything like that. It's just getting, bad, basically. And just to finish up the statistics, they also go on to say that 10% of MS recoverers are diagnosed with primary progressive and 5% are diagnosed with progressive relapsing. And according to the New York Times, some researchers there, if you do nothing and you leave your MS untreated, slowly but surely there'll be a greater loss of function with less and less improvement between your attacks or your exacerbations. And over time, you may require a wheelchair. They go on to say also that you may be able to stay at home, but some things that would prevent you from staying at home are severe depression. You'd have difficulty swallowing, which means you wouldn't be able to eat. You wouldn't be thinking properly, so you wouldn't be able to care for yourself. A really bad one here is that you'd have such bad bladder and bowel problems that you'd need to have a catheter placed in you, a permanent catheter that would help you go to the bathroom all the time. And so we don't want this to be you. You definitely don't want this to be you. So we're really glad that you're here with us today to make sure this doesn't happen to you. So answering the third question on your handout, that is 90% of MS recoverers develop secondary progressive MS within 25 years. And the fourth question, if left untreated, there's a greater loss of function with less improvement between attacks. So, Dad, let's get into it.
All right. Let me just say this. There are 4 things you need to do to get rid of your MS symptoms. and none of it involves chasing the latest fad. And this is stuff you probably never heard before, because nobody out there is talking about it except me. And I don't know why. It's well researched and well published, but it's as if they're trying to hide this information from you. So let me introduce you to a program I created. It was created just for you, and it's my program that walks you through exactly what you need to do to get rid of your MS symptoms. There are 4 things. Let me just touch on them right here. Change your mindset. Very important. You have to change your mindset. You have to believe. You have to know that you can and will get better. You also have to know that when you're taking a disease-modifying drug or what they call a disease-modifying agent, it's created for what? Autoimmunity. But they don't have any proof of autoimmunity. That's the first thing you got to change your mindset about. Number 2, you have to neutralize the toxins. You have to know what these toxins are. Neutralize the toxin. Of course, you got to address infections that can add to your exacerbation or may be part and parcel of the cause of you having multiple sclerosis. And then there are some advanced steps that you can take that will really, it's like the icing on the cake, that will really, keep you on the great road of recovery. Now, let me just tell you my approach. My approach is scientifically based. Scientifically based, and it should be. That's why, I put these slides up. Let me just go through them. At the top of this slide, you'll see a journal article, the New England Journal of Medicine. And then the title of the article. In this case, inflammatory cortical demyelination in early multiple sclerosis, and then I give you the author or authors. And in many cases, I list the institution, but I also give the main point or points of the article. This is very important. You need to know that what I bring to the table for you to help you get rid of your MS symptoms, it is scientifically based, not opinion based.
And that's perfect because it's also meant for you to be able to go back and look at the article if you want to do that, as well as take the article to your doctor, because a lot of times your doctor doesn't have time to read this kind of information. They're too busy seeing patients. So you'll come to your doctor and say, hey, I want to start taking X, Y, or Z. And the doctor will say, well, where do you get that from? And then you could have the article handy. You can show your doctor so you can see why you want to make the changes that you're making. So I just threw that in there, Dad. I'll let you go ahead.
All right, let's jump right into it. Changing your mindset, and we'll also have to take a look at blood sugar and energy. Let's move on. Here we go. Now, the important thing here on this slide is that the power plant of the cell is the mitochondria. It is like the engine to your car. It is what drives everything. And keeping this mitochondria healthy is very important in terms of multiple sclerosis or in terms of any healthy or diseased person. But the other important thing is that the mitochondria uses glucose and other things also, but the main fuel for the mitochondria is the glucose, or the simple sugar that is used to make energy. And when you make enough energy, you won't get fatigued. You won't feel tired. And that's important. Keeping this mitochondria, burning the glucose properly, gives you really good energy. All right, here it is. Let me tell you what MS really is all about. And we have to take you to the nerve cell or the neuron. On this slide, you'll see this to the left. You'll see a big thing there. That's the nerve body. That's the body of the nerve cell. And it's got a long extension to it. That extension is called the axon. And around the axon, you'll see those hot dog shaped things. That's the myelin. And that you'll see a black dot on that hot dog shaped thing. That's the oligodendroglial cell. That is the cell that makes the myelin. Now look up in the left, the top left corner of this this where the neuron is located, you'll see those blood vessels. Those blood vessels, they're very important in terms of multiple sclerosis, because what happens is that when the blood vessels are not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, that is, there's a breakdown of the blood-brain barrier, then you have bad things to go on in terms of multiple sclerosis. And in the right lower hand corner, you will see that cell down there. Actually, there are many of them, and these are the astrocytes, and they are the ones that feed the neuron. Okay? These are very important, because not only do these cells feed the neuron, there are a family member of them. They also, they're just in there helping things out. They mop things up and so forth. So this is what is really involved in multiple sclerosis: a breakdown of the blood-brain barrier where anything can get in to the central nervous system. There is a malfunctioning of the neuron where the myelin is stripped away, and now that signal that goes from one cell to another cell can't get there properly, and the astrocytes, those helper cells in there, they can't be doing their job. And this is what you have to answer in terms of getting your life back.
And just to be clear, I wanted to clear up. So the myelin is the black sheath that you see around around those hot dog looking things. And when you have MS, that sheath comes off, and what happens is it prevents the electrical current from traveling, or the message from traveling.
That's right. It prevents it from traveling as fast as it ought to travel.
Okay, so it seems like that myelin is like a protective covering around a electrical cable, like the orange extension that you have on a cable or something, your extension cable. That orange sheath or protective covering comes off, and then the signal just goes which kind of way.
That's right. A lot of static is on the line.
All right, great.
Now, fatigue. It is, when you have multiple sclerosis, more than likely you were fatigued prior to your diagnosis, and you didn't know what was going on. You just were tired all the time, and you finally went to see your doctor, and your doctor diagnosed multiple sclerosis. And what can contribute to this fatigue? Having too much blood sugar around. And why is that so? Remember I said the mitochondria takes the glucose, which is the blood sugar, and burns it properly. When it's not being
That's
burned.
The engine, right?
That's the engine.
The engine burns the blood sugar,
That's
the glucose.
Right. And it makes energy. If it is not burning the blood sugar properly, some is left behind, and in the case of a human being, it's left behind as hyperglycemia. Too much blood sugar, too much glucose is in the blood, and so you can see if the engine is not working properly, then it contributes to your fatigue.
And I think it's important to point out that this is one of the reasons why we say you need to change your mindset, because we're talking about blood sugar here, and usually blood sugar is associated with diabetes, but it's not about diabetes. It's about getting the fuel, the sugar that you need into the engine, the mitochondria, where it can work and give you energy. And when that's not happening, that can lead to your fatigue.
That's right. And we are not talking about diabetes. Now, they got real sophisticated name for this inability to burn the sugar properly. They call it impaired glucose tolerance. In other words, your body is just not burning the glucose properly. And what can happen with that? When it's been around for a long time, that is elevated blood sugar, you can get a lot of pain with it. It starts to affect the nerve that's carrying the different sensations to the skin and so forth. You can get a great deal of pain. So you want to do what? You want to make sure that you answer this problem, and you can do it with a step-by-step plan, and you can get rid of your pain. Now, they figured out over many years that the reason you don't really burn the blood sugar, they call it insulin resistance. What can you do about this insulin resistance? You can start taking vitamin D3. It's been known that when you have a D3 deficiency, which you have, it's known to occur in multiple sclerosis, then more than likely when you have this deficiency, not only do you have elevated blood sugar, but you have this pain. So what can you do? Start taking vitamin D3, 5,000 to 10,000 international units each and every day. How can you test yourself? Go down to Walmart or Kmart or whatever.
And this is test yourself for what?
For the blood sugar. See if your blood sugar is elevated.
Okay, because if your blood sugar is elevated, it's not getting into the cell where it needs to be used for energy. So you're saying this will test and this will help figure out what's going on, whether it's getting in or not?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And what it is, it's an A1C kit, and it's going to have diabetes written all over it. Don't worry about it. What you are interested in is, what is this A1C kit? What is it all about? Well, hemoglobin A1C, or just plain old A1C, is your body's way of keeping up with your average daily blood sugar over the prior 90 days. And so, if your A1C is elevated, then you're not burning glucose properly, and you may have fatigue. Along with that fatigue, you may have pain. And this A1C is given in percentages, and then there's a conversion factor. But the important thing is this.
And so you're saying the important thing, I just want to make sure that you understand that the A1C is not like a finger prick where it's just a spot check. An A1C gives you information over time. So it's like taking a test every week for a semester where you get your final grade at the end of the semester as an average over the past 3 months.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fast or anything. You just go down to the Walmart or Target or Walgreens, CVS, any place like that will have it. You can pick this test kit up, test yourself, no worry about fasting, and then you'll get a number back that will let you know how well your body is using blood sugar, meaning how well the fuel is getting into the cell to be used as energy.
That's correct. And here's a chart I put together, and you'll see on top in the yellow is A1C. It's given in percentage. The first one on the upper left is 3.5%, and that converts into an average daily blood sugar for the prior 90 days of 54. But the important thing here is that if your average daily blood sugar is greater than the A1C is greater than 4.7%, it's too high. Too high. You need to do something about it, and you can do something about it.
And if it's too high, it means that the fuel is outside of the car. It's just not getting into the car. Your car's not running. You can't figure out why. Well, the gas is not getting into the car where it needs to be used to go. So if it's higher than 4.7, you let us know, and we'll tell you some things that you can do to bring it down and to help with that situation.
That's correct. Now, here are the action steps. Number 1, get your A1C checked. Number 2, reduce your sugar intake. Number 3, don't drink any soda pop. It's got bad things in there. And number 4, take vitamin D3, 5,000 to 10,000 international units every day.
And what's the point about the reducing your sugar intake? Why is that?
Well, because
that and the soda pop.
Okay, the reason being is if your A1C is elevated and you continue to put sugar in, it's not going to be burned properly, and as a result, it will continue to help take you downhill. And in soda pop, they got all fructose, glucose, sucrose, all kind of things in there that will help drive your blood sugar up. You don't want that. You need to get rid of your fatigue and your pain, and you can help do that by keeping your average daily blood sugar in the normal range, no higher than 4.7%.
All right, great. So before we move on from your handout, question number 5 is impaired glucose tolerance may be found in patients with pain. Number 6, problems with your nerves can be caused by excess glucose in your blood. And number 7, I will get my A1C checked.
All right, the second thing we need to do, we need to neutralize toxins. And we know that there are all kinds of toxins in the environment. There's arsenic. There's mercury, there's lead. All of these are toxins, and what do? They injure the cells, and they start to destroy your DNA, and that's what makes you what you are, and so forth. But here's one toxin that no one talks about, And this is why we're bringing this toxin to you. It's called acrolein. And this acrolein really it's a chemical, okay? And it is a chemical that will destroy your nervous system. Now, what will this acrolein do? And again, I want to point out that this is the science behind what we're talking about. Look at this journal, the Journal of Neurochemistry, 2011. Okay, acrolein. The title: acrolein induces myelin damage in mammalian, i.e., people and horses and cows and human beings, and it causes myelin damage in the spinal cord. Well, in all actuality, the spinal cord is no more than an extension of the brain cell that sorts way up there inside your skull. But the important thing is that this acrolein can cause myelin damage. And we know when the myelin is damaged, the signal that the nerve is sending is slowed down, and it can't get to where it's supposed to get to, that signal. And as a result, what happens? You're fatigued. Oh, your balance is off. You can't walk down the street without appearing as if you've been drinking alcohol and so forth. The other thing is you can get axonal degeneration, and this is a bad problem. When it's degenerated,
That's the axon.
that's the axon.
The long part.
That's the long part of that nerve. Okay, that's the thing that's sending the message down. When that's degenerated, boy, you really got a problem. It's like burning a forest, cutting the trees down. Okay? We also know that this acrolein is important in causing multiple sclerosis. They got papers out there that demonstrate that. And it is important in terms of your getting worse, or in terms of an attack, or in terms of an exacerbation. Okay? So essentially, this myelin damage can lead to a loss of the axon, and nothing gets to your muscles or your skin or what have you, and it causes paralysis. And when you become paralyzed from an automobile accident that I talked about, if injury to your spinal cord, you have to get in a wheelchair. And so in multiple sclerosis, the same thing can and does occur. And we want to shut that process down, and we can do that just by addressing the toxicity of the acrolein. So the other thing that this acrolein does, it keeps that mitochondria from making energy. Boy, think about it. Not only does the blood sugar is elevated, becomes elevated when that mitochondria is not hitting on all four cylinders, so to speak, or all 8 cylinders, depending on the size of your car. But the important thing is it cannot make energy when it's got this acrolein preventing it from doing so. And we know that the mitochondrial problems are found in a multitude of neurological diseases, one of which is multiple sclerosis. So, where do we get this acrolein? Cigarette smoke. Whether you're a primary smoker or whether you get it secondarily. This cigarette smoke has acrolein in it. They always talk about the nicotine in cigarettes, but the real bad actor is the acrolein. You can get it from manufacturing plants. Okay? Oh, here we go. When you're at home and you're cooking your meats and vegetables together and you put a little sugar in that and you heat it up really hot, okay, acrolein is being given off. And of course, we all live in a modern society. We drive what? Cars, motorcycles, transfer trucks, all these 18-wheelers. What are they giving off? Acrolein. And of course, when you're in a place where it's kind of cold or chilly in the northern hemispheres, you want to have a fireplace, snuggle up with you and your loved one. But that fireplace can give off Acroline. And if you are a farmer, if you live on a farm, and it's time for you to do your spring planting, you go out and what do? You take fire and burn off the dried grass, and then you start to plow. But those fires are giving off acroline. And in some cases, they use this acroline as a herbicide in water. So you want to be careful about these things when it comes to your multiple sclerosis, and you have to address this particular toxin.
And when you say an herbicide in water, you mean something that they use to clean water? They put it in your drinking water?
Yeah, they put it in there. But, they are allowed to have a little bit, so many parts per million of having that in your drinking water. But over time, this is why, I have a water filtering system, or I go buy water that's been properly filtered out, and that's what I drink. But the important thing is to remember, this acroline is a bad toxin, and you got to just shut it down.
And one thing to remember is that you can always call the company that supplies your water to find out if and or how much acroline they are putting in your water.
So what do you need to do? Okay, don't overheat your food. Okay, limit the amount of sugar that you put in your food.
And what's the sugar have to do with it?
The sugar,
besides the A1C.
Well, the sugar can attach itself to the fat or the meat in there, and when it's overheated, it can make acroline.
Okay, got it. So it sounds like, sugary syrups and things and glazes that you maybe put and then cook them. That's where the problem comes.
That's where the problem comes. And of course, we don't want you to smoke, cigarettes or cigars or what have you. And don't be around someone who is smoking. Just to, let them know that this can really cause you a problem. And I want you to remember that fireplaces can be harmful. And I want you to start taking zinc, 15 milligrams each and every day. And the main reason is that the zinc helps to protect your myelin, and it helps to repair the myelin. It's important metal.
All right, great. So before we move on, just need to let you know from your handout, question number 8 is acroline has been known to cause myelin damage, which can be an important factor in the progression of multiple sclerosis. Number 9, problems with the mitochondria are found in many neurodegenerative diseases. And number 10, I will start taking zinc 15 milligrams every day.
All right, let's move on. You have to start addressing the infections. And there are many of them. But I want to address one that you haven't thought much about. And that is VZV. What am I talking about?
What is that?
What is that? All right, let's go. Okay, actually, this VZV is really a varicella. Okay, it's a varicella virus. And you've had chicken pox. It's the varicella. You had it for a period of time. It went away, and you're happy. But guess what?
Wait, so chickenpox, varicella and chickenpox are the same thing?
That's right. Varicella and chickenpox are the same thing. That varicella virus is chickenpox.
It's chickenpox. And we got chickenpox, and then you got all the bumps and scratches and itches, and then it went away.
It went away. But here's the thing. Yes, it went away. In other words, it became dormant. And where did it become dormant? In the, what we call the ganglion or dorsal root ganglion. Now here it is. Let me just explain that to you so you know what I'm talking about. You have a nerve that goes to your skin so that when someone pricks you with a pin, you feel an ouch, okay? Well, that process, the one on the right, it says the peripheral process.
That's the picture. We're talking about the picture we're looking at here.
We're looking at the picture. And so there's a process that runs that's going to go towards the spinal cord. But remember, this process has a nerve body, okay? And that's the head of this thing. And then you see that thing coming down, it says an axon.
The round thing is the head. Then
the round thing is the head. And now it's got that, as I indicated earlier, it has that axon. And now there's that central process that's going to go inside the spinal cord. But you have a bunch of these things together. And we call them ganglions. And because it is on top of the nerve. We call it a dorsal root ganglion. And that's where this chicken pox is in there hiding. It's just waiting to do some dirty deeds further down the road. Okay. And guess what happens? It reactivates for some reason or another. And when it reactivates, it causes shingles. Painful. And it's got a rash with it. And now it's called zoster. It's the identical virus, but they gave it a different name, so it's called VZV.
So after
Varicella zoster virus, but it's really the reactivation of that old chickenpox virus, which is varicella.
I got it. So it's chickenpox. It goes to sleep, and then it comes back as shingles. But you may or may not. And what's the point here? That you may or may not know that it is or isn't shingles, or what?
Okay, the point here is that number one, we do know that varicella zoster in some people it causes multiple sclerosis. That's number one. Number two, we know that when you have MS and you have this varicella zoster virus present, it can reactivate, but it won't cause any rash. And it may cause something you think is an exacerbation. But the important thing is, it's not an exacerbation. It's just this old chickenpox virus peeking its head again. Okay? And they've demonstrated it. They're doing with some people who had an exacerbation. Someone said, I wonder what's going on. And they said, let's look at the white blood cells. They found out that, guess what? They found this varicella zoster virus in the white blood cells.
And so, just for a quick, what does the white blood cells have to do with it? What do the white blood cells do?
White blood cells are the things that help you fight off bacteria. They fight off bacteria, they fight off viruses, fight off fungi, you name it. These are the things that help you, they're part of your immune system. Okay, they help you stay healthy. Well, they found the varicella zoster virus in the white blood cell. During the course of the exacerbation. And then the exacerbation went away, and guess what? So did the virus. When there was the person was in remission, virus disappeared, remission is there, no longer an exacerbation.
So it looks like there's some relationship between varicella zoster virus and the exacerbation.
That's correct.
The point, right?
That's the point.
It's peeking its head up, and who knows whether it's causing exacerbation, but if you can keep the varicella zoster virus down, keep it, under control, you might not have an exacerbation.
Well, it might not. You may think it is an MS exacerbation, and it may be the varicella zoster that's the problem.
Oh, right. It would be the same thing. So if you keep the virus down, you wouldn't have what you call exacerbation.
That's correct. All right, so here's a great study. Look at the top. Post-viral, that means after viral fatigue syndrome. And when you have multiple sclerosis and you have an attack of a virus, or if it is just an exacerbation, you can have fatigue. But they just decided to go in and look and see what's going on. And let's talk to these people who are having this problem. They've had this viral attack, and they found out that they complain of exhaustion, they complain of fatigue, they complain of muscle aches and pains, poor memory problems, and, problem with concentration, problem with depression. And guess what? You've had this virus, and you've had these problems, but you thought it was your, what? MS. It may not have been. It may be that it is, what? The virus that's caused the problem.
Right, so we keep the virus under control, then we don't have the problems that seem like they're an exacerbation, but they're not, and then after the virus goes away, you prevent all that from happening as well.
That's correct. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you to get your A1C checked. I want you to do exercise. Even if you're in a wheelchair, you can get one of these red rubber balls or blue rubber balls and squeeze it back and forth. And that's important because it's muscle activity. And the muscles in your hands and in your fingers will help the muscles in your toes, in your ankles, in your calves. Don't forget that. And I want you to start taking lysine, 1,000 milligrams each and every day. And why is that? This lysine will help the viruses, it will help keep them in check. Will keep them in check. Lysine is very important.
And that's all viruses, or just the varicella-zoster virus?
Well, we know that the varicella-zoster virus, or the chickenpox virus, is really a member of the herpes virus. It's a family. And so if you can answer that family with the lysine, you are answering the varicella-zoster, and this will help you. But the other important thing about viruses, they help each other. They may not be the main culprit, but they are in there helping each other. And we have a lot of viruses that we carry around in our bodies, but it's being helped by other viruses.
All right. And then just lastly, what does the A1C have to do with it? This is not for blood sugar, but it's associated with the virus?
Yes. We know that when your A1C is elevated, when you have elevated blood sugar, then your immune system is not working properly, and it can't help you get rid of these things that needs to be gotten rid of. And so you want to get your A1C checked.
All right, great. Okay, so before you move on, the question from the handout is question number 11. That is varicella, the virus that causes chickenpox, is associated with relapsing remitting MS and primary progressive MS.
Okay, let's answer taking advanced steps. Music. And here's the good deal. Here's the really good deal. We know that music, if you're sick and you're in an intensive care unit, the ICU, that when they play music for you, you get better quicker. That's known, as well documented. They also know that this playing music helps reduce the pain, and you don't need as much sedation as you normally would need. And the music helps to control or produce cortisol. And what is cortisol? It's a steroid. And you need this cortisol at a certain level to help do what? Control the inflammation. And we know that music plays an important role as an add-on treatment in critical care. This is well documented. Well documented. Okay? The music also has an effect on your cranial nerves. And what are those nerves? Those are the nerves that help you to close your eyes. They help you to move your eyes from right to left, up and down. They help you to speak, talk. They help you to eat food. You're using your cranial nerves. Well, if you got a problem with the cranial nerves, which you can have when you have multiple sclerosis, you need to help these cranial nerves. You need to help them out. And you can do that just by listening to music. And it's well known, it's published, that high intensity sound modify your balance, and it does so through the inner ear. You hear this music, and it stimulates the inner ear. And what did they do? They did a study on 12 healthy subjects, and they played music, and they different kinds of music, and they played the person's favorite music, and they found out that their posture got better. Okay? Whether their eyes were open or closed, the posture got better. And if you're having problems with your gait, with walking as if you're drunk, or stumbling into walls, and what have you, you want to make sure that your posture is getting better, and you can do that just by listening to music.
And so what this is saying, they did a study and they took people, 12 healthy people, and they played their favorite music in their ear, and their balance was helped by it. What do you think the effect is? What does it do? Do you have any idea?
Yes, it stimulates the inner ear, and that stimulation, okay, which is a part of, I don't want to get too technical, but we got, we have our vestibular system in there that's helping us to keep our balance. And remember, I said that what goes on with your cranial nerves, and in this case, it's the eighth cranial nerve. What goes on with your cranial nerves goes on in your arms and hands. It helped them out. Your legs and so forth, and so and the muscles of your body, of your trunk, and so when you are playing this music, then that information really gets down to the rest of the body, and your posture gets helped out. Okay, that's what it does. And of course, they said, "All right, let's look at some classical music," and they found out that Mozart's Jupiter music has a great effect on the vestibular system. Mozart's Jupiter music. Okay, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to YouTube and type in Mozart Jupiter Symphony Finale and listen to it. It's only about 9 minutes and a half, 9.5 minutes. You listen to this every day, and over a period of time, you will notice that you will slowly but surely get better.
All right. Well, that seems easy. That seems easy enough. That's great. And so you listen to it just a couple times a day, and you'll feel your balance and whatnot get better.
That's correct. Your posture will get better. Your balance will get better.
All right. Great. So that is number 12 on your handout. Music has been shown to reduce pain. And number 13, go find Mozart Jupiter Symphony Finale and listen to it every day.
All right. These are the 4 things you need to consider to get rid of your MS symptoms. And during the webinar, we talked about just one thing that you need to consider in each category. And there are many more. But if you concentrate on these 4 things, especially doing the things I outlined for fatigue, which is really where it all starts, if you stick to it and if you are truly committed, you can start getting rid of your MS fatigue, getting rid of your MS symptoms, and start doing all the things you used to love doing. And is it going to be work? Yes. Does it take dedication? Yes. Does it make you a bit uncomfortable? Absolutely. Is it worth it? No doubt about it. 100%.
And Dad, I think that really is the key. I mean, even though it may require a little bit of work, it is 100% absolutely positively worth it. And at this point, you're probably asking yourself, after you've seen the presentation that we've just done, how do I take control of my health now so I can get back to doing all the things I used to love doing? And that really is a great question, but there's probably other questions that this webinar has kicked up for you, like what else can I do to keep getting rid of my symptoms, and where can I find more great information like this? Or if you are out there looking for information, what if you don't understand the information that you find, and how do you know who you can trust? You're also probably questioning and wondering, what if your doctor doesn't have time to give you this kind of information, and is it even possible to figure out all these things on your own? And what if you really don't have time and don't do anything at all? What bad could really happen to you? And we want to help you answer these questions, especially after this webinar. And we can do that with the program that we created called MS201, The Fundamentals. And it's really made for you. If you like the kind of information that we just presented, the fundamentals will be perfect for you. Now, here is a graphical picture of MS201, the fundamentals. It's a 24-week course, and now don't worry, we're not going to send you all these, video CDs and just drop this on you and let you try to figure it out. This is really just a picture of everything that you're going to get, because MS201, the fundamentals, is actually a 24-week, so that's 6-month online course. So you don't have to worry about, getting all that information all at one time. We made it easy for you, where every week for 24 weeks you're going to get a new class delivered to you. And the classes are about 45 minutes long, and they're going to cover exactly some of the information that we've touched on already, but go into a lot greater detail. And the length of the class is perfect. They're not too long, not too short. They're made in bite-sized, digestible classes for you so that you can really absorb the information and learn and discover all the things that you need to. And as I mentioned to you, this class is going to be delivered to you once a week inside a private members area that we have set up for you. And so you can look at the classes anytime that you like, wherever you are, you'll have access to them. And so you just log in, watch the video class, and learn all the things that you need to learn. And they come on every week. So if you sign up for the course on a Monday, you'll get the next class the next Monday, the next class the next Monday, the next class the next Monday. I think you got that. So it's just really, really convenient and easy for you to get all the information you need so that you really can get on top of your health, get on top of your symptoms, and start getting rid of your brain fog, start getting rid of your fatigue, start getting rid of your vision and bowel, bladder problems. All those things these classes are designed to help you get rid of. It's also course documents that are associated with the class as well, and those will be inside the private members area as well, and you'll have access to them at all times. Now, this is just a slide of all of the different topics that we cover. You'll see we go over all the symptoms that you experience when you have MS: fatigue, the balance, the vision problems, bladder and bowel problems. We talk about depression, heat intolerance. We talk about loss of tearing and sweating. And what this means to you is that at the end of the class, just like we did in the webinar today, there'll be action steps, specific things that will tell you exactly what you need to do to help get rid of those specific symptoms. When you get rid of those specific symptoms, you'll start to feel better, you'll start to get your energy back, your vision will start to clear up, which is going to let you get back to doing all of those things that you really used to love doing, playing with your children, going to the mall, going to the movies, going out with your spouse, helping out around the house, possibly going back to work and earning an income to help with the financial situation in your family. Also, you'll notice that we do a drug spotlight almost every other week. We talk about Avonex, we talk about Rebif, we talk about steroids, we talk about Tysabri, and the point of that is to let you know if you are taking those drugs, what they're supposed to be doing in your body so that you will know if they are not working, and if they're not working, you need to talk to your doctor about changing to a different drug that may be working better for you. You also notice that we bring in guest lecturers. We bring in a guest lecturer to talk about stress and what you can do to get rid of that in your life. We bring in a guest lecturer to talk about going gluten-free, because you'd really do yourself a big favor by going gluten-free. Another guest lecturer comes in to talk about living beyond your MS diagnosis. So this is a really comprehensive class, but it's made in bite-sized pieces so that you can digest the information with action steps at the end of each class telling you exactly what you need to do to deal with the specific symptom that you may be having and how you can get rid of it. Now, the total hours of the class at Dr. Cartwright's $600 an hour fee, the course has a value of over $12,150. But today, since you're on the webinar, we are going to offer it to you for only $4.70. That's right, $4.70. You probably have that change running around or rumbling around in your couch somewhere, and that is for a 10-day trial of the class. So for $4.70, you'll get a 10-day trial of the class. During those 10 days, you'll get 2 different classes, and we do this just to make sure that it really is something that's for you. You'll get one class and then the next class, and in those classes you'll be able to find out if it's for you. You'll be able to determine if you like the sound of our voice, the information that we present, if the action steps, if you think you can do them, all of that for just $4.70. So what you need to do now is scroll down below this video, click the Get Started button, and start taking MS 201, the fundamentals, for only $4.70. After the 10-day trial is up, and once you've decided that you like the course, you simply do nothing, and your monthly investment will be just $47 a month for the remaining 6 months of the course. So after the 10-day trial, after the $4.70, it will be just $47 a month for the next 6 months that you're in the class. And of course, you can cancel at any time if you aren't happy with the information or anything at all.
All right, let's proceed on. There's still a lot more very important stuff I want to cover with you about getting rid of your MS symptoms. Now let's get to the 3 must-haves to getting rid of your MS symptoms and getting your life back. the first thing you must do is model what works. And what works is science. And the science must be presented to you in a logical fashion. And our program is based on science. It's based on knowledge. It's based on the knowledge of your central nervous system. It's based on how it's put together and how it functions and how it works properly and what causes it to malfunction. So, again, the first must-have is model what works. And second, Occam's razor, and that is keep it simple. You don't want to spend your years and months and years upon years trying to go through all the research that has been done and that's been published out there. You don't want to spend hours in the library reading medical and scientific journals and attending multiple sclerosis conferences all over the world to get the latest and the greatest information. You want to have all the research and everything done for you and done by someone who understands the research and who can easily explain it to you. If you want to have the simplest and most effective route from where you are now, with all your MS symptoms to get to where you want to be, which is a fun, happy, active, symptom-free life, then I suggest that you follow my recommendation. I believe in you, and we're here in your corner to help you get to a better way, and we're going to be with you every step of the way. But regardless of who you choose to work with or whether you do it on your own, just remember, the simplest path is usually the best path. And make sure you stay on that simple path. And don't try millions upon millions of different things. Figure out how to take control of your health and do everything you can so you can start loving life again. And that brings me to the third thing, which is take this seriously. Commit to learning everything you can about the cause of multiple sclerosis, because before you can do anything about the symptoms, you need to know why you're having them. And then commit to getting rid of them as quickly as possible. And don't let your self-doubt get in the way. Look, I know it's really hard for you to even think you can get better. It's been so bad for so long that you've given up on getting the old you back. The old you that used to play with your kids, go shopping with your friends, work and contribute to your household financially, grocery shop, and make great family meals, participate in sports, and go for walks. If you don't invest in yourself, and you don't put forth the effort to really get your life back, then it's just going to get worse. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have to be that way, and we're here to help you make sure that it isn't that way, and we think that we can do that with MS 201, the Fundamentals course. And we really think that you'll get a lot of benefit out of this, and you can turn things around and not keep on getting worse and worse and worse. And real quick, we just wanted to show you some of the things that our students have written in about the course. First one, it says, I believe that the classes have helped. It's wonderful to have that almost one-on-one class feel. I love being able to listen to a class more than once to be sure that I've gotten all the information. I'm taking the supplements and I'm feeling better than I thought I could ever feel again. Another student wrote in and told us I was paralyzed from the knee down in my right leg. After the first lesson, I bought glutathione, increased my vitamin D intake, and took alpha-lipoic acid 3 times daily. Before the next class, I could wiggle my right toes. I did very well for a month and then reached a plateau where I still am. I'm certain your recommendations have helped enormously. Another student wrote in and said, very well thought out and easy to follow. I started noticing slight changes in my symptoms as early as 1 week later. I could stand and balance and correct my balance if I started to lean, reaching into high cupboards. Goes on to say, thank you so much. I never thought this would be possible before with just making small changes, smiley face. And then Dr. C. and Scott, the information has been almost overwhelming, but I am glad I can go back and refer to it over and over again. anyone can understand. Unlike the doctor visits where you leave confused and hopeless, I have paid a lot of money in deductibles and out of pocket with no progress ever. The progress that I have made in 9 months is very encouraging. I not only feel better, but I don't require the frequent rest as before starting the supplements and recommendations. Over the past 6 years, my health was deteriorating, but I can see a turnaround, and it feels great. Thank you so much for all the time, research, and dedication to MS. God bless you and your family. That's really great. So we also want to let you know when you do invest in MS201, the fundamentals, there are some bonuses that we have for you. We love bonuses, and this would not be an exception. Bonuses, we love them. So the first bonus that you're going to get when you invest in MS201, the fundamentals, is a 2.5-hour question and answer call. We call it a marathon session. My dad and I were on the line with some private clients. For 2.5 hours, they were grilling him left and right with all their questions. We stayed on the phone, answered all of them, and surely some, if not all, of the questions you have about MS, we covered in this 2.5-hour question and answer call, and so you can get your questions answered by listening to the answers that we give to our other students. We also have Quick Start Audio Report. Those are 4 different special audio reports that we have for you. We talk about medications, we talk about fatigue, we talk about different things, and so that's Quick Start. Listen to those and you'll get a boost of information, and it's in really small 10-minute sessions that you'll get some great information from. We also have an MS-friendly recipe book where we have 100 plus MS-friendly recipes in there for you. They're recipes that we specially picked out for you that are helpful when you have MS, and that is included as a bonus when you get MS201. So just a quick recap. MS201, the Fundamentals, is a 24-week course that you're going to get delivered to you online every week for 24 weeks. That's 6 months. You get a 2.5-hour question and answer session as a bonus, 4 quick start audio reports, and you're also going to get the 100 plus MS-friendly recipes. All this combined together has a value of over